All right, let's talk about a huge move in the global healthcare world. We've got a major player making a multi-billion-dollar bet on just one country. It's a fascinating story, full of ambition, smart strategy, and it all kicks off with this one single number. 7,000. So what do you think? In the world of global healthcare, what could that number possibly represent? A new drug? A giant hospital? Nope. It's a target, and trust me, it is a huge one.
Yeah, that number, 7,000, is the goal that one of the world's biggest healthcare groups has set for itself. And they're planting their flag, so to speak, in one of the fastest-growing economies on the entire planet. So let's get into it. Who's making this massive bet, and what's the thinking behind it?
Okay, so the company we're talking about is IHH Healthcare, based out of Malaysia. And when I say they're a giant in the industry, I mean they are a true giant. They've just unveiled this incredibly ambitious plan for India, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack right now.
Their goal? It's about as clear as it gets. They want to become a dominant force in the Indian healthcare market. Simple as that. But, the big question is always how. I mean, how exactly do you go from being just another major player to becoming the leading player?
Well, their whole plan really boils down to one key metric: adding an absolutely staggering number of hospital beds to the network they already have.
And just look at the scale of this ambition. I mean, it is immense. IHIH already has over 5,000 beds in India, right? Their plan is to tack on another 2,000 beds in just the next 4 to 5 years. That gets them to that magic number, 7,000. To put that in perspective, that's almost a 40% increase in their capacity in a really, really short amount of time.
So the question is, how do you even add 2,000 beds that fast? Well, they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. They've got this really smart two-pronged approach. First, you've got what they call brownfield projects. That's just a fancy way of saying they're upgrading and expanding the hospitals they already own. Then you've got the greenfield projects, and that's the really exciting part. They're building brand new state-of-the-art hospitals completely from the ground up.
But here's the thing. They aren't just building these anywhere. This isn't random. It's more like a surgical strike. They're targeting the biggest metropolitan hubs, the places with the most potential for growth, like Bengaluru, Chennai, Mumbai, and Kolkata. And this laser focus on specific cities, well, that's the cornerstone of their entire strategy.
Okay, so this whole focus on cities is driven by a really interesting core concept. It's kind of the secret sauce, the real engine behind their growth. See, it's not just about adding more beds. It's about how, and more importantly, where they add them. And they have a name for it: the cluster strategy.
So, what exactly is this secret weapon? What makes this whole cluster thing so powerful? Well, it all comes down to one word: focus.
The idea behind the cluster strategy is actually pretty simple, but it's also brilliant. Instead of sprinkling a few hospitals here and there all over a huge country, they pour all their energy and money into building a really dense network of facilities, all within a single major city. It's like, instead of having a bunch of lonely, isolated outposts, you build this powerful, interconnected web in one key area.
And you don't have to take my word for it. The group CEO himself, Dr. Prem Kumar Nair, said the goal is to deepen our presence and create a synergistic network. Okay, so what does that jargon actually mean? In simple terms, it means their hospitals, their clinics, their labs, they all talk to each other. They're creating what's called a continuum of care. So a patient can, say, go from a local clinic for a checkup to a major hospital for surgery, and it's all seamless, all within the IHH system. And you can imagine in India's crowded city markets, that is a huge competitive advantage.
Okay, so we've got the what, we've got the how, and we've got the strategy. But let's pull back for a second and look at the bigger picture. Why India? Why pour all this money and all this effort into this one country specifically?
And let's be perfectly clear about this. For a global giant like IHH, India isn't just another box to check. It's one of their most important and, crucially, fastest-growing markets. So this isn't some wild gamble. It's a very calculated investment in a market that they believe is absolutely critical to their future.
So, when you boil it all down, what are the big takeaways here? First off, this is a massive vote of confidence in India's economy and its whole healthcare sector. Second, it's a textbook example of a depth over breadth strategy, going deep in a few places instead of wide everywhere. And third, it really signals the rise of these powerful city-based healthcare networks that can handle everything for a patient from start to finish. This is IHH saying, we are here for the long haul.
And all of this leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. As these global giants like IHH double down with these super targeted, powerful strategies, what does that actually mean for the future of healthcare in India? What's the next chapter going to look like for the competition, for the local companies, and, at the end of the day, for the patients? Well, that's the chapter that's being written as we speak.